So Greg, please tell me about the beginnings of the MidOhio Chamber Players and the combination of choir and orchestra. It's rather unique, and then we'll just let you.
Yeah, sure. It's a little bit convoluted. It's not as simple, but it was, I think, a case of where several things just flowed together. There was a confluence or a convergence of people that made the whole project possible. There was the Domka family. They were living in Columbus, Ohio, where we had relocated to. There was also the Stoller family that was there as well. They were students at the Ohio State University. And I came into contact, first of all, with the Domka family because since they were instrumentalists, violinists, and playing music and supporting some of the training programs for students there, my daughter Heather was involved in one of those efforts. And we learned to know each other. We eventually began to collaborate on things as musicians often do. And they engaged my services to help them with a recording project. They did a whole CD of hymns, strictly strings. And so they asked me to do the recording work. Steve, who's a very talented violinist, of course, was conducting the group. They needed someone to coordinate that whole thing, so he was conducting. And the recording came out great. But to broaden the appeal, I thought it would be good to add to it a choral aspect.
That was a natural
which brought in the Stoller family because they're all vocalists, they're very accomplished. I wouldn't call them professional singers, but they're a notch above amateur in the sense that they've done some studying, they've done some training, and their whole family sings. Mm-hmm. And so it was sort of a natural extension to go from just the instrumental stuff to incorporating the vocal stuff. And by the way, there's an awful lot of good stuff classically written that incorporates instrumental and vocal, but it's rarely performed. And even though I wouldn't say that you'd put it at the top of the popular list, it's not what people, when they think of going out and buying music, it's not typically something that people put out there on their A-list to go and buy this, but they do enjoy it. And that's the funny contradiction about this. It's immensely enjoyable to listen to the collaboration between an orchestra and a choir. Now, music of itself is a language, and the nuance of sound as it's being performed, I think, has the capability to communicate a lot of things, and a lot of it's very subtle. I think that having the vocal parts and having the singing, having the words there, I think it makes it a little more accessible for people, and that's at least what my thought was in broadening the appeal.
Well, that sort of leads into the choir component, and how was that formed?
Well, that's interesting. How was that formed? Again, talking to the Stoller family and their connections, I said to one or the other of them, I don't remember who it was I spoke to anymore, but I said, you know what, we need to put a choir with this somehow. And it would be nice if we could invite people from various locations, which we did, and, referencing our connection to the Apostolic Christian Church, both the Apostolic Christian Church of America and the Apostolic Christian Church Nazarene, we hit upon the idea of just asking people to come, inviting them to come. So it would be an all-volunteer choir. Now, some of them have some training, some musical training. Many of them don't. They simply have the experience of the congregational singing, or in some places, congregations have their own church choirs. And so there's a familiarity with it, and it's very genuine.
And there's certainly a deep-seated love of music and singing in the churches. I understand that the choir came from quite a wide area, singers from Canada, from across the Midwest.
Well, and we've done several projects. The first one was in 2003. We did a follow-on project the very next year, 2004, and we decided, this is a bit much, because it's a lot of work. The logistics of bringing that all together are difficult. So it sort of became a biennial project after that. But from that beginning in 2003, then 2004, 2006, 2008, there are some core people that have been very dedicated to coming year after year as it's worked out for them. And then there are some people that have come maybe for one or two projects. They couldn't. After that, other people came in. So, yeah, there was quite a diversity of people from various locations, congregations in various geographic locations. So, like you said, from Canada, I don't know, we've had from all over the United States, Florida, California, Colorado, Kansas, Michigan, Ohio. I can't even name them all. And there's been a variation each year because the makeup of the group has changed each year as well.